You went from blogger, well-known author, and co-author,
Hmm.
uh, and now you have this company.
Yeah. I've 2 actually.
Yeah, it's like, just talk about that. Talk about
Yeah.
the transition to help people understand the business, right?
Yes.
Of this. It's like personal brand meets author meets media, right? Like
Mhm.
this whole idea. Talk to us about sort of the refactoring of everything that took you in this direction.
Totally. So, started on the internet, right? Started blogging, did some of the social media stuff. Back in those days, back in the 2010s, kind of like the blueprint for anybody doing anything online, whether it was YouTube or a podcast or whatever, it was just get famous enough online so you can go get the book deal, or you can go get on a TV show, or you can, go get your album made. That was the whole game plan. Like nobody really thought past that. And myself included. So the book took off, and a bunch more book deals came through. And so I wrote a bunch of other books. I did a movie. I had some TV deals that never got made. And I was like, cool, I made it. Like this is it. I did it. Um that all changed in the pandemic. Two things happened kind of simultaneously. One is that online content just skyrocketed
Yeah.
in a way. I think it was inevitable, but I think that the pandemic just accelerated it to a great extent. And then the second thing that happened is, well, the second, on a more personal note, is I actually did get a film made, and I did work with a major film studio, and I saw how absolutely like laborious and bureaucratic and unnecessarily expensive, and how much red tape there was, and how like nobody knew anything. I mean, I would get on, I remember getting on marketing calls with this studio. And I mean, it's a studio that uh, well, whatever, it's Universal. It's I would get on Zoom calls with like Universal's marketing team, and there'd be like 13 people there, and we'd have this like hour-long conversation where nothing was really being said. And we would get to the end of the call, and essentially everything boiled down to was, oh, the marketing plan is Mark's Instagram. And
No way.
this happened multiple times, like to the point where I'm like, why do I need you people?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like this is a low budget film. I could have made this myself. I probably could have made it for like a quarter of the cost. I could probably just put it on my YouTube channel and ask people to give me $5, and I'd probably make 10 times more money. And so I was kind of looking at it like, this is insane. And meanwhile, like all of these creators and influencers that I had kind of come up with, like they're building these massive audiences and there's tons of money rolling in. So I made the pivot to really build out kind of an online media company. So we launched a YouTube channel, we launched a podcast, really invested a lot in growing my newsletter. We're now doing content on every platform, every medium, every format, every platform. We are doing approximately 400 pieces of content per month across all platforms.
It's awesome.
And we've grown, the total audience is just past 10 million followers across all platforms. And we're probably going to hit $5 million in revenue this year. So like, and we're profitable. So like, it's funny, cause I'm like, sometimes I get calls from publishers and TV people, and they're like, "Hey, I've got a great idea. You want to chat?" And I'm like, Probably not worth my time,"
Yeah. Yeah.
which is crazy, right?
That is so crazy. So, the Thanksgiving table, right? You've
Mm,
got all these employees and you said this really hilarious thing about having employees.
yes.
You got to tell what it's like around the Thanksgiving table.
Yeah. So the funny thing about this business is, I think it's still underestimated, right? And like people don't realize, because, and I think people don't understand how much goes into this,
Yeah.
right? So like I have 23 full-time employees. We've got we've teams all over the world. And it's funny because like I'll go home for Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to my mom, and she'll be like, "Oh, how's work going?" I'm like, "Yeah, we just hired 5 more people this quarter." And she'll just look at me and she's like, "What do they do?" She's like, how, what do all your people do? She's like, it's just a video on Instagram. I don't
They're
know.
all extras, mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're lookalikes,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But it's, I think people don't realize because generally, people only see, if they see a video of me, right, it's just that one video on TikTok. They don't realize that there's a video on TikTok that day, two videos on TikTok that day, two on Instagram, two on Facebook, one on YouTube, one newsletter that went out, one Substack that went out. And this is all happening every single day, right? So there's a whole machinery behind the scenes that is not only invisible to people, I think, but also like they don't realize that how extensive the distribution is,
Mhm.
and it's like nothing I'm doing is particularly unique or notable. Like, I mean, I could rattle off 10 or 20 names that have the same business model and are doing the same thing at the
Mhm,
same
mhm.
scale. But it's just kind of invisible to people. Like,
Yeah. So is it like an attention model, right?
mhm.
Okay, okay, got it. That's really cool. What is the so if it's not unique and it's attention model, you're basically trying to design content that you care about for algorithms that people actually care about
Mhm.
and monetizing it that way.
Yeah, and this is something else that's kind of changed a little bit too because back in the day, sponsors and brands and stuff like influencers, it was kind of a punchline. Like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a silly thing, right? And I mean, you guys have probably seen this in the stuff that you guys do. It's and so the way you monetized online back in the day was you had a Patreon or you launched a course or you do meetups, or whatever. You
Yep.
you kind of monetize your own audience and built your own backend. I would say it once you hit a certain scale today, it's the ad revenue, sponsorship revenue is so significant that it's like I've actually shut down most of my courses because it's just like it's hard to justify promoting them and keeping the team maintaining them when I can just go out and get brands who can pay me the same amount and
Yeah.
I don't have to like build out a back end or anything.
Yeah. So my mentor said to me one time, because I had this weird moment where I was like, man, maybe I should go back to business school. And he looked at me, he's like, you're taking the Randy Clark MBA, right? And one of the things that happened was uh, there are these things that happen in business, and maybe even in your life as well.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks like, well, the college expense, this big expense that I'm paying, sort of like that's the toll booth to get me the job and
Yep.
do all the things. But I wanted to ask you about business and sort of this whole sort of let's just say 2016, let's say the last decade.
Mhm.
There's got to be something where like, man, that was really expensive and it was a really expensive lesson, but holy shit, it was a great lesson
Mm.
that you were willing to pay and maybe you'd pay it again.
Mm.
Do you have anything like that that was like, I'm telling you, I was like, I've got to ask him this question because it's one of those things that everybody's got something that they're like, man, that was really expensive. I
Mm.
mean, for me, sometimes it's things I'm trying to do for taxes. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought that that would work and did not work.
Right.
I get feedback April 15th.
Yeah. Totally. I I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes. I mean, this is probably coming to mind just because it's we just talked about it, but what I think a lot of the things for me are just opportunity costs. So when I think about there's a certain seduction with Hollywood, right? It's like when there's producers and stuff taking you out to dinner and buying you dinner and telling you how brilliant you are. Like there's a real kind of nostalgic, romantic, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'm
yeah.
making it. And then like I look back and I'm like, I wasted so many hours for multiple years. Really just playing a game that I probably shouldn't have been playing in the first place. Um, and I think it's in my world, there's a lot of confusion. I think there's almost like two separate media worlds. And it took me a long time to figure this out, but there's like two completely separate media worlds. There's the online media world or like the new media world. And then there's the traditional media world. And um I think a lot of people just kind of blindly assume because the old media world has all the prestige and it
Mhm.
has all the clout and it has a lot of the institutions and um, cultural gravitas.
Mhm.
You just assume that's where all the opportunities are, but it's actually what I've discovered is it's the complete opposite. Like nobody in traditional media is making money right now. In fact, the whole reason they're coming and finding people like me is because they're like, we need your Instagram audience because we don't know, like we can't get butts in seats otherwise, right? And so it took me a couple years to realize that like, oh. It's like that old saying, it's like if you're in a room and you can't tell who the sucker is, you're the sucker, right? So
Too many times.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, it's like I would sit in these rooms and I'm like, why am I here? And I like don't totally understand. Like, there's so many great screenwriters in Hollywood. Like, why me? Right? Like, I know, like, I wrote a good book, but like, really, why me?
Yeah.
Uh, and then I realized I'm like, oh, it really is the Instagram audience. Why am I giving this away for like
Oh my gosh.
pennies, and working for them while I do
Yeah,
it?
and they seduced you. They got
Yes,
you, and they're like, "This just comes along because this is just what what he does, and we'll be able to use it." That's it's a crazy insight to have that asset be so desirable. It's really crazy. I mean, like you just watch what Mr. Beast has done, right?
it's
His
insane.
it's. I mean, I think he's buying a basketball team now or something. I'm like, man, this is amazing what this guy has done, you know?
Yeah.
So he's just on a another level being able to monetize YouTube like that,
Mhm.
right? It's wild. I think it's an unlock for people that they don't understand is the
Yes.
social media thing. And for people that get it, they're like, how'd you do it? Right. Well, let's hire him to do this thing
Right.
and maybe we'll figure it out.
It's funny, you're starting to see a lot of companies catch on. I mean, obviously, we're here, right? So
Yeah.
you're ahead of the curve on this, but, like, people are catching on that this is distribution of the future, and not only is it the distribution channels of the future, but, like, you can own it, right? Like,
Mhm.
you don't need to just go give Meta all your money from now to the end of time. Like, you can build IP, you can build assets, you can document, behind the scenes in your company and create employee content, all sorts of stuff. Um, I think it's it's a fascinating time in that it is that the distribution is getting so decentralized across so many people and so many channels. And I think if you're a creative person, if you're a creative marketing person, especially like it is a really, really exciting time to be alive. Like it feels like the world's your oyster in some
Yeah.
ways.
Okay. So I got to ask, what are you doing with AI?
Oh.
You're like, what are we not doing?
Yeah, how much time do we have? Um,
My team's probably like, really? Because I ask everybody, right? Because
mhm.
I'd say, pretty aggressive about it, but like I just have a personal enthusiasm for
I love it.
this scale and the things like either these dreams that you have that you're like, man, I wish I could build a business idea generator so that people could have that and I could have that be a hook, and then all of a sudden AI comes and I built it in an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yep, yep.
And I was like, this is so fun.
I it's funny, I had been dreaming about kind of a centralized dashboard because it's like in all the social platforms and everything, like they have their own analytics, but it's all behind their own dashboards and it's all like a mess. And so you have to go to like 8 different places to
Yes.
to see everything. And for years I dreamed about just like centralizing everything in my company in like a single dashboard. And I even hired a developer a couple years ago to try to build it, and he failed and it was costing a bunch of money. So I just scrapped the idea. And it was like 2 weekends with Claude Code.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Dashboard's made. And it really is insane. I will say, like, my experience with it is it's quite jagged,
Yeah.
right? So you kind of get whiplash sometimes where, I'll get on one day and it just feels like a miracle, like just miracles start happening, like things get made and insights are I have come out of conversations just are things that would have taken me months of thought or work
Yeah.
will happen in literally minutes. And then I'll get on the next day and I will literally just start screaming at Claude like it is a terrible intern because
Oh my god.
it
Utter
screwed up.
amnesia. You're like, "What is going on?
It like
We
screws
just
up
did
the
this yesterday."
simplest thing. I'm like, "Hey, this is so obvious. How did you fuck this up?"
I have this I have this email, called Amnesia Solved that I had him write.
Mhm.
And so every single time the amnesia pops up, I'm like, "Go to your email and read Amnesia Solved."
I put I was doing Claude Code and it would do like I don't know why it kept doing this, but it would do like 90% of the work and then it would like give me the code and tell me to go execute it. And I was like, "Why are you doing this? Like just do it yourself. Like finish the job." And then it would finish it. And it kept asking me to do that. So then I went into the Claude MD file and I like explicitly wrote, I'm like, "Never ask me to execute code if you can execute it yourself." And then sure enough, 10 minutes later, it asked me to execute code again. And then I just replied to it. I was like, "What the hell have I told you about this?" And then it immediately replied, it was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll get right on it."
Dude, I gotta say, I could just imagine Mark Manson railing, this naughty intern, called Claude. That's really hilarious.
I've definitely lost my temper a few times, but I will say so with it. It is interesting within the company. I do find it is either unbelievably useful for some things like research. I would say it's unbelievably
Yeah.
useful. Um, Ideation. I actually find it. I've been finding it extremely helpful for like kind of brand strategy.
Mhm.
So I'm going through a little. We're doing a little bit of a rebrand at the moment, and so been thinking a lot about like aesthetic and words and positioning and everything. And it's been incredible. Like, it's just been an amazing thought partner for something like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
very intangible things. It's amazing. But then there's other things that I still think it just sucks at. And you kind of have to just learn where it's good and where it's not.
Yeah, yeah.